All right, welcome everyone to Van Go For It. Thank you, Tina, and Original Tina, our featured artist for Rooted Health Hub, joining us for Van Go For It. And I honestly forget what number class this is. Are we on our sixth or seventh class? I think.
I wasn't even counting. I have
I'll
no
let you know.
idea.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know next class. I'll let you know what the number is. But yeah, thank you guys for your continued support. I'm really excited to continue working on our painting. Tina, do you want to go back and tell a little bit about like a short, brief history of what the inspiration for the painting was and some of the techniques that we used the last class?
Yeah, so the painting, we started this one the weekend before Valentine's Day. So it was um requested to do something with like the color blue. So my instant go-to is the ocean, obviously. Um, and of course, being from Guam, I wanted to do Two Lovers Point for Valentine's Day. Kind of just fell in my lap because I started following a Facebook page of photos of Guam and the beaches of Guam, and a photo of Two Lovers Point from the beach below was actually posted. And so I used that photo as the photo reference, which is what we're all working with. And it's of Two Lovers Point, which on Guam, if you don't know of Two Lovers Point, there is, legend of a Spanish warrior or soldier, warrior, um, that is due to marry a Chamorro princess. She don't want to marry him. She's in love with the Chamorro guy. They tie their hair together, run up the cliff, and jump up because people don't want them to be together. So it's very Romeo and Juliet, but Islander style. Um, so that's what we're working on, and we're doing this in an impasto style, which, if you don't know what that is, it's just very thick layered paint on the canvas, and we're using palette knives because Tiffany requested to use palette knives, and we all invested in palette knives, and it's very fun. It's a very physical paint technique. And it offers so much to it. You can do so much with it. So impasto is not pasta. It is actually painting, and it's layering on paint in thick layers so that you can have texture. You can have um, a lot of 3D effect on a canvas. So that's where we are. And right now, you guys want to show your paintings, that'd be great, so we can see each other's and see where we are and our different styles, different visions, different colors from the same photo reference, which is amazing to me. I love Jared's warmer tone. I think he stuck with a canvas he had been using, and he's using the purple. Can't
Jared,
get
I
it.
really like. I hadn't seen your flowers yet. I really like how the flowers are laid out over the canvas. That's pretty.
Yeah, he's got his purple. What are they called again, honey? I can't.
BYOS.
Yeah. So it's the Guam flower. I just can't say it. I'm sorry. I'm awful. Mine and Tiffany's are more red. There is a purple version. Jared had stuck with the purple, which is, it looks beautiful with the warmer background. And so what we've been working on the last couple weeks is just layering the paint on. And we learned about starting with what's in the background first, because that painting has a foreground, or that photo has a foreground and a background, and the flowers are very much in the foreground, and Two Lovers Point is in the background. So we started with putting down the background, and now we're working on continually adding layers. So today, I know Jared's working with his flowers and going to be making some greenery and some stems, since his background is beautiful right now. And his water and sand came along really nicely. Tiffany's got a little bit of work on hers. I think she's doing the sand, and you're continuing with your flowers and your grass, right? Okay. And me, I have a horrible, horrible habit of overworking a painting. So I'm going to show you what it's like to be brave and scrape off some stuff if you don't like it. It's not necessary, It's not necessary, but there's parts of this that I'm just not digging at all. I'm not digging the way that it's ending up layering. I'm not digging it. So one thing about learning to paint is you should definitely let go of what you think it should look like and let the painting be what it is. However, you have control over how the paint is laid. And if you're not digging how the paint is laid, it's your painting, do what you will. I'm just going to scrape off because a lot of people get attached to what they're putting on a canvas. The key is to not be completely attached to it if you're gonna let it live as it is. So I'm just gonna tell myself that I'm not attached to this. I'm gonna take it off and I'm gonna redo just a little bit, because I'm not digging it. And as of now, where we stand with our painting, we should all have a pretty thick layer of paint on here that's kind of sticky tacky, if not kind of dry and getting stiff. So if you do have very wet paint to work with, that's okay. If you have drier paint to work with, just keep that in mind when you go to layer on top of it what it's going to pull with your palette knife. Um, so that's something you want to keep in mind. Now, one thing I do want to stress is that when you go to layer with your palette knife, I like mixing the colors prior, but when you're working with the palette knife, it's very interesting to see what the paint does when you dip your palette knife in two different colors to lay the paint, because mixing it on the canvas is also just as interesting. So just keep that in mind. So what I'm going to start with, and I know you guys can go ahead and get to work on your flowers and your greenery and mixing your paint if you need to, and if you have questions, just pop on and ask. But what I'm going to go ahead and start with is scraping off some of this flour. So when I say be brave, I mean, like, just take it off. Just like get a big palette knife and scrape it off of there. I'm scraping it off. There we go. I just was not digging it. Look at that. Just be careful on the carpet. I didn't think about that. Okay. So I've scraped off what I wanted off of there. I didn't like it. It's gone. And then what I did was I remixed or mixed more reds for my flowers. And now I'm going to use a different palette knife because in that photo, the flowers, like I said, are in the foreground. So I need those petals to appear to be bigger than what they actually would in person. Okay. So I'm going to use a different palette knife and I'm going to start by layering the flowers and start with a darker color first. So my darker color is in the background because what we have in the photo is a reflection of the light off of the ocean onto the flowers and the leaves and all of the foreground. So there's parts of that that's going to be highlighted. So you're going to have darker colors in the back. So for my main flower up here to be big, I need to start with some darker colors in the back. And I've mixed some red and purple to make kind of a purple, or I'm sorry, a red violet. That's the darkest color that I have. I'm just going to start layering this by pressing and pulling. And then getting more and pressing and pulling. And that's pretty much the method that we had used layering these flowers. But the difference that you're going to see is what that looks like when you add lighter color on top of it, which is the thing that I wanted to focus on. Like, I didn't want it to look terrible, but I also knew that the petals had to appear to be bigger, and I'm using the same size palette knife for the smaller flowers just was not cutting it for me. So what that means and what I'm trying to tell you guys is if you're working in the foreground and your object is bigger, use a different size palette knife. And like I said, that's gonna make it and give it that effect that it needs, which is, hey, this flower is much larger because it's much closer to the camera. And so all I'm doing is using this kite-shaped palette knife, which is a very fun one because it already makes the tip of the flower and the petal prominent for me. And I'm pressing pulling to one side and pulling down. And look at the difference it's already making in the flowers. It's like exactly what I needed it to be a week ago. Like, where were you in my mind a week ago? Like that was necessary, and it took me a week to figure it out. So welcome to being a painter when that happens. So I've got my darker color down, which is a very, I mean, look how pretty that is. This is the color I'm using, which has got the purple and the red mixed together, and it's just so yummy and pink and purpley. One thing I have found out about these paints is that um, after it dries, because it's oil paint, it is so vibrant. Oil paint is just so vibrant, especially if you're using a medium in it. It's just super vibrant. It's everything you could have ever wanted. All right, so now I'm going to go in with some really red. This alizarin crimson, I think is the color. And I'm just going to start layering on top because these flowers have layers. And I've mixed quite a few colors to start my layers. And I'm not using a whole heck of a lot of paint on there because I want the petal to be prominent on certain sides. And so when you do that, you want to collect the paint on the side. You want the petal to be prominent. So what I mean by that is, see, on the right side of this palette knife, all that paint's collected. And so when I lay it on the right side of that palette knife, the petal's going to be heavy on the right side. If I want it on the left, I put it on the left. And that's what's going to make the difference in your petals. Like, you're going to want to add different textures to it. So you're going to use different palette knives, but you also have to pay attention and use different angles of that palette knife, different sides of that palette knife. Just really utilize your tools to make an effect. And guess what? You won't know unless A, you watch a video about it, B, you join this class, or C, you play around and you find out.
Okay, I just did that. Played around. I found out after you said that. And then I was able to make this cool grass. Like, I don't know if you could see the like texture of the like squiggly grass.
Totally.
I like that. I think I'm gonna keep doing that.
Keep doing it. Absolutely. And I mean, the whole playing around and finding out, I mean, it's going to add to the interesting parts of your painting. It's going to add to the characteristics of it. And honestly, what a better way to put something that's natural and organic, like flowers and leaves on a painting, in a more natural and organic way than just using the body of the paint. So I kind of dig it quite a bit. Now, what you do want to understand about flower petals, if you don't, is that they're not always directly sitting on top of each other. They're not all the same. So let go of the idea that everything has to be perfect and the same, okay? Just kind of get in the painting, utilize your tools, and just lay the paint out there like it needs to be. Let it be on the canvas. Just use your knowledge and understanding of the skills, the tools, and of course the paint. Paint is the number one thing. We're just gonna make happy little petals. So I really just wanted to make sure that these petals were much larger than the last what I had on there. Just because of that forced perspective. So you just always want to keep that in mind and keep the elements of your painting in mind and the elements of art and design. Like, there is some thought process into this. It's not just being crazy aloof and hippie and jumping in it. Sometimes there's a method to the madness, you know. But I especially like making the full body paint on there and making it stand out. And honestly, the mixing of the paint on the canvas is just super pretty. And I actually learned because last week I was at my sister's and didn't take this painting with me. I actually started a different flower painting and used lavender as the subject matter. And that actually turned out okay for being what it was. It's actually at my sister's drying right now, but I was
I just
actually
want
quite
I just
impressed.
want to interject that I have seen this painting, and okay is an understatement of how it turned out. I just want to throw that out there. So
That's all right.
so prove it. We're gonna need to see. We're gonna need to see this. But
Yeah, I'm gonna
okay
bring
is
it home
not
at
how
some
I would
point.
describe it. Just throw that out there. Just throw it.
I. I mean, sometimes I do. That's funny. I will tell you, I did mix a color prior to the class, and I did not like it. Like, I did not like it for this flower. So I took it off my palette, but I saved it. So I also wanted to, touch base with you guys on saving paint that you're not going to use for a particular painting, for the sole purpose of I could use it later, and I don't like wasting. So that is a thing. That is
Do you
something that is
save
to be considered.
I know with like the little plastic palette or whatever, I've like, put the saran wrap over it and I've saved a couple that way. But with this palette paper, is that a like if you're using palette paper, is that still possible?
It is, and what I do is I fold. If I'm only on half of the palette paper, I fold it in half and
Mm,
put it in a Ziploc bag. Um, the saran wrap method still works for the palette paper as well,
okay.
or just put another piece of palette paper on top of it and kind of set it to the side, because oil paint takes forever to dry, and even if it does dry, you can take that weird skin layer off, and there's still wet paint underneath that you can use. And I don't like to waste anything, Tiffany, so you're gonna laugh at this. But the weird skin layer I saved to put on another painting. Just like all that I took off, that I scraped off, I saved it so I could use it on another painting.
Totally.
Because it's so funny what it like comes in handy for, like how resourceful you can be with that kind of stuff. It's quite hilarious to me, how it works out, but it always does. I mean, it always ends up working out, like on crashing, the painting crashing that we did. That has repurposed Galkid circles from a jar on it. Like, I just repurposed the material and stuck it on there and made it part of the painting. So that's why I don't toss anything away, and I save it. And I've got multiple jars of this kind of stuff on my cart. So I kind of look like a crazy woman, but there's reason to, method behind the madness, that kind of thing. All right. How we doing, guys? Checking in.
So my paint coming out of the tubes is tacky right now.
Okay.
So when I'm trying to spread it with the palette knife, I'm just trying to line out the stems. It's not, it's not doing it. So
So
I'm
dip
having to,
your go ahead.
what is it? No, you,
Oh, I was
or
gonna
was
say
it
dip your palette knife in your mineral
mineral
spirits,
spirit?
mix it into your paint, and then that should give your paint a little bit more mobility.
Okay.
And just do it very lightly at first. Like, don't go in and just pour it on there, so you don't get completely liquefied paint, but it is gonna break up the tacky thickness of it.
Okay.
How's it coming, Tiff?
It's coming really well. I think I'm still I definitely would benefit from the color theory class and a future class because I
Yeah.
find myself getting lost and enjoying, which is fine. Like there's nothing wrong with it, but mixing these colors
Mm-hmm.
and being like, oh, that's what happens when I mix these colors. So I think like a class where I'm just mixing colors, so not, I guess these basic mixtures aren't a surprise to me. So I can start to like really play like see these colors in my mind before I start to use them. But I just think that's fun too. Like, but then I'm over here just mixing like, oh wait, I'm supposed to be like applying this in canvas. So like,
Yeah, mixing paint
yeah,
is definitely a really fun part of painting, Tiffany. And you can take an hour just mixing and listening to music, sitting in your studio and mixing your paint. And then, I mean, if you make a color that you're like, oh, I'm not using that, I save those little ramekins, that you get like dressing in from a restaurant. I save those with the lids to put unused paint in. I save little jars, like my little yogurt jars. I save those because that yogurt's really good. I've not had some in a long time. And then you can also save like this right here had some jelly in it. It's like some super fancy jelly sample. And I saved paint in that because it has a lid. So, I mean, I constantly save those things so that I can save the paint. So if mixing paint is something that you want to, you know, take an entire lesson on just to do color theory, I'm happy to do that because it is very important to understand what you're mixing and what color is going to come out of it. And having basic knowledge of color theory, I mean, it's definitely going to add to your work. So the more you know kind of thing, you know? You know?
All right, so I did got some grass going on here now.
Ooh.
So I'm thinking I might, since I already have this color mixed and I like that color and I want to use it for my leaves, should I go ahead and do the leaves and then I can do the branches after? Or should I lay the branches first? Does
You
it matter?
can do either or. What I did to lay my branches, because I did the leaves first, but I wanted to know where the branches were going to go, Tiffany. So
Uh-huh.
what I did is I took a different palette knife. I took a thin one, like a pointy one, and I just drew on my canvas through with the paint that's on there
Mhm.
where I wanted those branches to live. So
Okay.
I literally just took another palette knife and scraped through the canvas how I wanted these branches to be there.
Okay.
And then what I actually did was I laid the brown and the green, and then I went back over it with more green.
Okay.
So you're gonna continue to layer. It just depends on which one you want to do first, and there's no set like method. You can do either or. But if you want it to look like it's leaves on a branch, then you can do the branch first. And you can still map it out by scraping with the palette knife where you want your branches to lie as far as where your flowers are located at. And I'm out of most of my green, so I can't work on my grass or my leaves. So that's the main reason why I'm working on flowers. Um, so if you have any questions about the flowers or the leaves or how I did my water, then you can pop on and ask. I will tell you I did take some white on a flat palette knife and scrape over top of my blue so that there's an indication of wave and light being there. I really would love to be more like Van Gogh and do one brush stroke the same, but making different shapes out of it. I'm just not at that level yet. Like that's phenomenal to me. Like completely fascinating how he worked, but we're very much working in a Van Gogh method here and doing impasto on a canvas. So it's actually pretty cool that we're using blue too. Just saying, good choice on that. Um, I'm pretty happy with the color of the water that I have. I would love for it to be more swirly, but I'm I'm focused on the flowers right now just because I want those to be as unique as Guam is, but as beautiful as I can
Sound
make them.
like this one helped me make swirlies, which I was
Ooh, nice.
like this one up top here. Hold on, I don't even know. I'm gonna hold it upside down so I can show the swirly part. But like that, those two swirlies are like my favorite.
Yeah, for sure.
And like I was really excited, and I know that I used this.
Uh-huh.
That's about as much as I remember. So I'm gonna have to play around with that. But I was like, I made swirlies, and then but now I don't remember how it happened. I just know it was with this.
We can definitely try that with those. I have two different sizes of those.
But I was like, oh, I mean, I would let like I just remember being really relaxing. I was like, that'd be fun to just do a painting of swirlies.
Right? Swirlies. That's what's next. That's what's next, Fred. Swirlies. Oh my God. Have you guys ever had a swirly? You know what a swirly is? That's where somebody, like a bully, shoves your head in the toilet and hits the flush, right? So that happened to me growing up. You know why? Because I have siblings. Yeah.
Oh my.
My older sister. Yeah. So here's the story real fast. So we lived behind the school because my dad was a security guard at the middle school I went to. We lived behind the school on the property, and in order to live there, we had to clean the gym. So in true military fashion, my parents like, we got 6 kids, you 6 go clean the gym, right? Earn your keep, right? So we used to have to clean the gym. So we would all divvy up the chores, and my sister was in the boys' bathroom. She just cleaned the toilets in the boys' locker room, and there was a beautiful, clean urinal. And we were horsing around, and she shoves my head in the urinal and hits the flush button. So I've definitely had a swirly in my life. And if you haven't, if you did not grow up with siblings or being bullied. So
I
yeah,
was the, I was the
that's
older
my
sibling,
story.
and I got bullied. So I don't know.
That's because you're a sweetheart, Jared. That's why.
That's what it is. Yeah,
That must be.
totally. Let's go with Tiffany's answer for sure.
Yeah, no, I was definitely raised with tough siblings.
Well, you were rowdy yourself, so I mean.
Well, I mean, duh. Duh. Like, I'm gonna be. I mean, you're with me now, so you're welcome. But no, it was definitely a core memory for your sister to shove your head in a urinal and swirlies, and I'm gonna paint a urinal. Oh man.
That's where your color theory came from.
Totally. That's all the colors. So I wanted to share with you some notes that I have for this is class lesson notes, but it's not crazy. So I wrote layering and layer on here twice, and one thing I wrote on here that's not like me at all is it says be gentle. It says be gentle. So just to explain the type of painter I am, I'm a very physical painter. And so that's why we're standing today, because I felt like in order to scrape that, I had to get physical. In order to get physical, this thing's got to be secure. In order to secure it, we got to use the Mac Daddy of easels here. So I'm using my scale easel. So yeah, this impasto method of painting is a very physical one, because it's not only physical for us to be like manually layering and putting paint on, like that's a very tedious process. But the painting itself is physical. It's physically heavy. It's physically 3D. It's physical. So
Olivia Newton-John.
I love how you brought this up because Jared, at later time, I'll tell you my easel shenanigans. So I am like working with this painting flat, which I found actually I like working that way. But you brought this up as I was just like not ergonomically squatting, trying to like get these branches. I was like, true, yes, this is not good for my back.
This is a physical painting.
And I have stood up on that.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And remember in the last couple classes, I was like, if you don't like it, turn it. If you don't like it, stand up and move. Painting is very physical. When you have a studio, you want to have the room that you need to A, be able to have workspace, but B, be able to step back and look at your painting.
Yes.
So just always keep that in mind, and always keep that at the forefront of, what kind of studio do I want? What kind of space do I need to paint? I love that Tiffany's in her sunroom right now. I wish I had a sunroom. Like technically the living room and kitchen or the dining room is the sunroom, because that's the best light in the house. So the lighting, the room that you need, all of that is necessary whenever you're developing your own painting studio and you're learning how to do all this. So I know that Jared has a little bit of space, but not a lot of light. So
my
having,
lights.
yeah, we need to get you some lamps probably.
Mhm.
Or I like I like your patio too, so maybe when it's nicer out, we can get you a table out there. Oh no, you have a table now.
Yeah.
Do your painting out there. So let's see. Got that big massive flower on here now. She looks much better. I'm much happier with how her petals are now because I can go in over top these big ones and add little ones. So, bam, she's in your face.
That's beautiful. I love the darker color in there. That's beautiful, Tina. That's
Yeah, so I definitely needed to prove that. So I did. And like I said, when you have little flowers where the petals are the same size as what's supposed to be in the forefront and in your face, that doesn't give that forest perspective effect at all. So just keep that in mind when we're working with this. And if you feel like you've got the same thing going on, guess what we can do with this? We can scrape.
Okay,
Yep,
I feel like what I need to do is I just need to get a small canvas where I just like do color theory work on it and it's not and then I just scrape it off. I think I just need to like that way when I need to do it in an actual way, like I need to prepare my brain.
Yeah.
it is okay to do this.
It's
It is okay to do this.
I'm gonna text you be like, I'm doing it. I'm scraping.
Hold my hand, I'm scraping.
I definitely would recommend it. If it's something that is you have to work up the gumption to do it or the courage to do it. I understand that because I don't like to redo stuff, but sometimes it just calls for it. All right, so now that I've got my big petals on there, I need to let that dry just a little bit. I did brush some little red spots in here because in the photo you've got some flowers showing, but leaves are on top of it. But you need that red to come through for the petals. So whenever I get more green, I can go back in and layer my green on. And if you don't have gloves, I recommend getting the gloves if you're not working with it. Because you can go through and touch your painting like this and not actually have to wash your hair that often. But there's some things that I'm seeing on mine that I know that I can improve upon, and it all has to do with pulling forward what needs to be pulled forward, which if you don't know how to do that, we can also discuss that. But that would be adding light, which means adding different shades of your colors in there, or just going on top with a little bit of white. And you don't
So you
need
said to
you don't
pull
need
something forward. You said to pull something forward. Okay.
Yeah, I took a lighter green and just started patting it on top of the darker green. And it's
fantastic.
really making the leaves pop for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. So like I need these reds, these dark reds that I put on here to dry. And then what I'll do is go in with some lighter reds and a slightly smaller kite palette knife. So I'm getting the same shape and I'll add that in there so that it's filling that flower full and it's gonna look like a full flower on this canvas because of how thick I'm layering it.
Right.
And
the
I don't
different
feel like
shade.
there's a limit with impasto painting. And if you do feel like you need to limit yourself, that's fine. But I don't feel like there's a limit with the thickness of the paint. Like I want this canvas to weigh 5 pounds when I'm done. 5 to 7 pounds, you know. It's got to be in a frame. It's got to hang on the wall without pulling the wall down. So
Great.
How
So
much?
these leaves, I love laying these leaves. And so what really happened is I got carried away. So now we're just gonna have to imagine there's a branch behind them.
That's
that
what I'm
works.
doing.
Maybe
That
a
works.
show up there. Whoopsie doozies. Hold up.
And if you, after you lay your leaves, Tiffany, if you take the tip of a pointy palette knife and just scrape like periodically throughout it, it's gonna give you the impression that there's a stick there. And without actually having to add paint, but like scraping where there would be. So like I would take my pointy one here and say, you know, I need to make sure that this line for this petal is visible. So I'm just gonna scrape behind it so that it's pulling up that thicker part. So it's utilizing the tool that's utilizing the point of that palette knife and then giving the appearance. Everything is all about like what it looks like on the canvas and then stepping away and seeing what it actually is, looks like from far away. So like you
I
could definitely tell
scrumbled my branches. I
okay.
scrumbled them on, and I'm kind of using that as a guide for my leaves of where,
Absolutely. That's what I did.
where it's, did you? Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
What's a scrumble? Is that a word? What's a scrumble?
Yeah, so a scrumble, it's like when you pull like this, but
Mhm.
you're pulling so lightly that it's just
Mhm.
like it's leaving specks
Oh,
of the
like
paint. It's
that
not leaving a solid line.
scrumble smears.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what
You
I
got
did
the
with
you
the
got the
light on
hands
the
up painting
water.
everywhere. Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
scrumble smears. Gotcha.
Yeah, you just do that with that's what I do with the light on the water to make that look like there's waves and glistening on
Yes.
that. So it's the
Love
same.
it.
It's like when you would use your copper, Tiffany, on your sticks. That's what you could do is just very lightly lay that across. And then if you wanted to scrape your line through here to give that appearance of like, I already have leaves down, but they need to look like they're connected to something like a branch, then I can do that. I can pull my palette knife through here and make the appearance of a branch and then just go through with a burnt umber or a yellow ochre, even the copper that you have, Tiffany. I think I have some copper. And I would do the method that Jared just mentioned, the scrumbling, and very lightly pull that through there. So there's the appearance of a stick or a branch. So that's a very good method, Jared. Good job on remembering the name of that because I was just like, yeah, you just kind of rub it on there.
Totally. I had to look it up myself, so.
Well, here's the
I
thing.
know there's
I
a
don't
term.
recall like technicality names. I really try very hard to make notes of this because my brain doesn't have the ability to absorb that the first time.
Yeah.
Or the second, maybe the third even. But it's like I'll make a note of it and then I forget the word and I go in and I make up my own terminology for it. And I do this with everything that I do. And I think I've mentioned this before about like work because I'm in an engineering department.
So there's a lot of jargon.
There's like so many words, so many. So there's a word for like a part of the machinery, and I call it a pinwheel because it's a wheel that goes on the pin, but that's not what they're called.
I like it.
And so now everybody calls them pinwheels because I continuously refer to them as
Everyone knows
pinwheels.
what it is now. That's how I am with dance. Like, and it's left, right. Don't tell me left, right. Don't tell me left, right when I'm dancing. I need a noise. Like I need to like, okay, we're gonna swirly bop, boop, boop, jump. Like, there's a noise to it. I'm like, okay, yeah, I got it. Yeah. If there's a noise associated with it, I can do it. We're gonna
I love that.
swish, turn, drive, run. Yeah, got that. But don't say left, right, because my brain will shut off.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do.
Yeah.
It's like, oh wait, there's a technical term for the part of the machinery where all the packages end up because it's open for the other parts of the machinery to come through there. I call it the belly of the beast. Guess what everybody calls it now? The belly of the beast. So funny. But with painting, yeah, it's like, oh yeah, we're just gonna like lightly like rub this here, and Jared's like, oh, that's called scrappling. He's my very technical terminology person. My
My art
vocab.
teacher was a history teacher too, so lots of memorization. So
Oh,
I blame him.
good.
My
Well, we're
art
lucky
teacher
to have
also
someone in
did.
here that's got the brain for that because I definitely am more of a visual and um sounds like Tiffany's an audible person.
I think my art teacher did what yours did too, and put. Are you the one who said your art teacher put the line of masking tape on the ground in front of your easel to force you to stand back away from it? My art teacher made us do that because I was like up here doing stuff, and he grabs me, and he puts masking tape on the floor, and so I had to do the rest of the class like this.
No, my painting instructor, I love him. I follow him on Instagram. His art is amazing. He used to just walk up, grab the painting without even saying anything and take it to the front of the class. And I'm like, oh, he's making me stand away from it. Hang on.
Yeah.
So I would wait and I would watch. And not only did he take it like, I don't know, 20 yards across the classroom and put it up against the wall, but he flipped it, you know? And yeah, so, and then what he would do, he would wait till the very last minute till we were in desperate need of something. Like, what is wrong with this painting? Why can't I get past this hump? And
Yeah.
he would take, his favorite color was red. He would take red from somebody's palette somewhere, somebody's brush, something, and just like fling it and slosh it and just whatever. He's like, now work with that. See what you can come up with.
Yes. So
What?
brave.
What? That's scarier than scraping it off. What? And so that process of you have no control over this anymore takes it. You know, he would even sometimes say, throw it on the ground, throw the stuff on it, rub it. I mean, he's the reason why I'm grateful that I'm physical with paintings, because it's
You're
actually
so
ended up in
brazen.
great work. And that
That's
one
right.
brown painting, Tiffany, that you guys bought and then auctioned, that was one of those, throw it on the ground, throw the paint on, and then work with it as I needed. So yeah, it definitely works out.
Ooh, Jared, look at that. That's beautiful.
Yay.
Let's see.
That's beautiful.
Put it in frame all the way, please.
Oh, it's hard to
Ooh,
do because it won't let me
there you
rotate.
go.
That's beautiful.
Yay.
Yeah, them leaves are coming on there nicely. I love the different the warmer background, and the flowers are violet, so they're cooler. I love that. And Tiffany has got the depth down. Look at her water and her cliff.
Woo,
Girl,
Oh man.
that's
woo.
beautiful.
I feel, yeah, I feel like where the sand meets the grass, like something has to happen there because I feel like it's just too abrupt, um but I like it. So
You
I
have
don't know.
definite lines where your water and your sand and your grass are, so you need to blur those lines a little bit. And I think what you're gonna need maybe is some more water to do that.
Some swirly whirls.
Swirly whirls.
Okay.
Swirl whirls right up on right up to the sand, even blending in with the sand just a smidge, and then the same with the grass and the sand. Like mine right here is all mixed in a little bit to create that blending in effect, and then I'll go over this with some more green on top of that to kind of help like fade or blend it in, so that, because my lines are super prominent too with what's water, what's grass, and what's sand. So but you want it to look flowy instead of like chopped like this section, unless that is the look
Like,
you're going for.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, I need
which
some
could
more.
also work.
I need some
We
more.
could make these squares and not even look like flowers, and it would be just a very abstract.
You touch that flower, Tina.
When we scrape it.
You scrape that flower again.
Yeah, I need
So
more green before I could do my leaves. So I need to re-up on some paint. And I'm almost out of my white oil, which is amazing. Because that tube has lasted
You're
me
like
a
bucket.
while.
Don't you have like a bucket of this?
I used all of that previously. I love that you're turning that painting, honey. That's definitely gonna help.
so yeah, with these being all one uniform color, these flowers, I'm
Yeah.
going with the darker purple, right?
Okay.
And laying it on top. Is that
You
correct?
can. You can. Yeah. Then I would go back over top of that whenever you get that laid,
With white?
and do a different purple that's lighter. So you're layering it all on there.
Perfect.
Excellent. Or even like, because these flowers have, I think they have a white center in them.
They do.
Um, you can even use tiny smidgets of the white.
Perfect. That's exactly what I was thinking. Kind of glad I used acrylic in the oil because these flowers are dry.
Yep. And if you wanted to, once you get your oil on there and it has a chance to set and dry and be its and it live in its physicality, you can go in with the paintbrush and the white and even paint on top of the thick paint that you need to add those just a little smidgets of white.
Wonderful.
If you didn't want to do your scaffolding, what did you call it? Scrapfolding?
Scrambling.
Grumbling. See why I don't remember the names?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the warm colors in yours.
Finally figured out how to turn my camera. So,
Oh, good.
yeah.
What I can also recommend is the warmer colors that you do have once you get your lighter colors on your flowers, just to
Yeah.
add that in a little bit, because your sky and your water is not going to be completely shimmery with white. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be
Right.
reflecting that sunlight, which is warmer on your painting.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the water to dry because I really need to put the sunset in the water for sure.
Yeah. And you can use your scrappling. Scrappling?
Scrambling? Yes.
Scrappling? I'm such a good artist. I know all the names. You can use that method with your warm color as well.
Okay. I like it.
Oh, I like it. Oh, I like it a lot. I just
Pull out the old paper towel.
Ooh, I know. Something that I wanted to share with you guys about color and thinking about color theory is I learned about a new animal watching a show, and I was like, oh my gosh, that would be um a great thing to use for what do we call it? The sorry, my brain just shut off. It, influence? What word am I looking for, Tina?
Oh, your inspiration painting
Inspiration.
or
Thank
photo?
you. Gosh, my brain just like went somewhere else. But anyway, the Cuban snail. Have you seen the Cuban snails? Look,
No.
it's worth a Google, y'all. Okay. Being Cuban, this was like something that I love learning about Cuba and Cuban history. And there's just like, I mean, there's a lot I don't know and that I want to know. So anyway, Cuban snails, look them up, talk about color. I would love, 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 love to be able to paint a Cuban snail. That is like
Oh,
now
sweet.
on my list, just saying.
All right. Cuban snail, I like it.
They're so cool.
Well, you know how I got so Castiel was at the vet, right? And I had almost a $700 vet bill and wanted to puke. But in a week, I commissioned 3 paintings to be able to pay for that.
Woo! Oh my
So
gosh.
I know that was just like I've never in my life.
Oil paint all over the place.
Oh no.
Let me put this palette knife down and do a clap without it in my hand. That's amazing. All right, tell us what we've got like 10 minutes. You can tell us about these paintings that you commissioned. Tell us.
Okay,
Tell us
so
about
the first one, she hasn't decided what she wants me to paint, whether it was a doggy that she just had pass or a grandmother, because it was my cousin that helped me.
Okay.
And then the other one was an old coworker who's also an instructor at ETSU. She's a chemistry instructor, and she is going to get so she could get 2 paintings, but she wants one, so it's going to be a bigger one. But it's her cat. So I've commissioned to paint a cat. So we do have cats that need to be painted, just so we know.
Yes.
Okay.
And I forgot where I was going with that conversation.
I just think you were talking
You're saying
inspiration.
we get to paint cats? Is that what you're gonna?
Yes.
Yes, and we'll talk about layering paint with actually painting instead of impasto.
Okay.
But you can mix the 2 methods together. So you can do an entire Van Gogh impasto painting like we have been with Two Lovers Point. Which, by the way, if you wanted to name it Two Lovers Point, or if you want to name it something else, I can get you, the spelling for the
Okay.
Guam traditional name. But yeah, no, we're definitely gonna be painting animals soon. So
Yay.
I will look into the Cuban snail because that just very interesting.
Yeah.
And I honestly can't wait for that. But if you want to do that in impasto, I'm sure that we could.
Ooh, I know. You know what's so funny is that I like in my mind after doing impasto painting and working with palette knives, in my mind that's just what I'm gonna do for now. Like I could never pick up a paintbrush and be happy, but I also know that that's not good. Like I also want to pick up a paintbrush again, so it's like, so I'm like,
Well,
oh yeah,
that,
like, but it's just so funny that since I've been using palette knives, I'm like, yeah, this is just how I paint now. Like,
that's totally okay, and
but
we
just
can
know
continue
that
to
if
use that.
I'm open to using paintbrushes,
Yeah,
so I'm
yeah,
not gonna be
but
like,
we'll still use paintbrushes in the class. Like that's definitely going to happen. But the impasto part of it, this is the most that I think I've done without actually painting with a paintbrush. So
yeah, gotcha. Okay.
that to me, this is new to me. Like doing, like I told you, the practice one that I was doing was Lucas's portrait, and then we did a lemon, and
Yeah.
now we're doing this, like an actual.
The lemon was cute. The lemons were cute. I love the lemons.
So yeah, I
No,
mean, my lemon painting isn't completely done. I'm not satisfied with it, but I do love how it looks, and it's an impasto painting. So
yeah.
this is definitely one of my favorites because of the physicality of it. So I'm definitely excited to finish it with you guys.
Well, I'm
Um,
open to yeah, I mean if you are open to working on some of your commission paintings in these classes, like I would love to be able to I mean I'd be honored to be a part of that process and get to see that process. So yeah,
totally.
I'm open to cats and doing and all of that. I'm open to whatever. So
I love it.
fun. It's just so much fun. And I'm thinking too, like I've told you like the idea of mixed media and incorporating some other materials into paintings. And so I think I'm gonna do it with this one because I did some swirly whirls down there and I tried to do the light and dark, but I think I'm gonna add some of those rocks or grind up and do something over the sand right there too.
All
Like
right.
add some like different something to it. I don't know, but and I think my leaves I have to wait. And this is the part that's like fun because you always have something to come back to. But I think I do want to do the like, dark and light leaves, like layer my leaves some more, and especially on the
Yeah.
I have to wait for it to dry. But
Hmm.
I think I'm gonna do some more layering there, maybe work down here with something. And then yeah, I mean I see a couple spots like where there's still canvas too.
Yeah.
And that bothers me. So I think I might go in and do that. But I think like I don't know, I'm excited about this one, y'all.
That's,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a fantastic plan. I want to tell you that if you get a brush that's hardened and like you feel like you can't use it to paint with,
Yeah.
use that for impasto as well. And what I did, Tiffany, is I used a hard brush because these aren't supposed to be prominent flowers. They're supposed to be leaves over top of them, like flowers
Yeah.
are behind them.
Yeah.
So I just put in different spots and use that physicality still, but with a brush and put those because I can't get in there like that with
Yeah.
with a palette knife.
See, that's what I'm gonna tell Zach. All those brushes that I didn't clean that I can't use, I'm gonna be like, I was prepping them for this technique
Yeah.
telling me about.
It only makes so much sense. Like, but yeah, just go in and like I did, and I just dabbed it in there because you can still get the physicality with a paintbrush, but your brush is already ruined, so you're not doing any more damage.
Yeah.
Jared, I love your flowers. Are you using a different palette knife?
Yeah, I used a different palette knife to layer on top of the dark colors,
Fantastic.
and now I'm using a hard brush to get to still lay it on thick, but to get those spots that the palette knife couldn't get to.
Absolutely. That's what I use. Fantastic. I'm so glad I brought that up because I was I was like, I'm gonna do this because it's a brush that I can't necessarily paint with, but you can paint with. You just have
Yeah.
to use a different painting technique for it. So absolutely do that. And you can, I mean, it applies to the leaves too, because you're not gonna have leaves that are exactly leaf shape,
Right.
but the appearance of a leaf needs to be there. It's the same concept. Um, so yeah, definitely utilize all of your resources. And I mean, what's it gonna do other than add to your painting, right? See what I did
I
here?
didn't use any white today at all. That's a first.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And you went flat white specifically.
Yeah.
I
I've
love
bought
how that
white
worked out.
3 times because I usually go through it so much.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, I feel like that's a testament to being able to change how you're doing your painting
Yeah.
and deviate from what you're comfortable using.
Yeah. I really wanted to make like really defined leaves, and I was like, no, I'm going loose today with it.
I love it.
Let's see.
And see, I dipped this ruined brush
Yeah.
in the dark red violet, and I'm going just like you did with yours. And what that
Awesome.
does, I mean, it's adding depth to these flowers that need it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
And it's probably
definitely,
filling in some gaps too.
it is, and you can dip it in all your colors, you know, a little bit at a time, and go in, because I know that I need the appearance of these flowers here, right? I know that, but at the same time, I also need to make sure that I'm covering that part of the canvas, because I don't like to leave canvas open if it's this much paint on here. There shouldn't be
Yeah.
any reason for any part of my canvas to remain untouched. But some people don't like to work like that. I'm just saying that that's an option. But yeah, just going around your flowers that are existing like you did and dabbing it in there. I'm gonna do that with the green too, I think.
Tap, tap, taparoo.
Yeah, and I like the idea of using copper, Tiffany, so that's a fantastic color.
I think for your
The
sand, that would be awesome too.
yeah, I think I'm gonna use it for like right in this area here, so that this is more pushed back and this is brought to the front. But I also kind of want to use it to shimmer over here where there's going to be an appearance of rock and land.
Yeah. I
So
tried to find metallic colors, but I'm just gonna do what you said and just get some glitter and put that in the sand.
hell yeah.
Yeah. There- there's your mixed media for you. Boom.
This little
You
spring.
dropped the bomb, baby. You dropped the
Yeah.
bomb.
Salt Bay it for sure.
Oh, well, thank you guys again. This has been so much fun. And I can't wait to get this video out on our Rooted Health Hub social media accounts and our new YouTube channel so that people can see how much fun we have. And hopefully we can get some more people to join us on this adventure of ours. So if you're watching this, thank you for your support. And Tina, Jared and I were rooting for you and your artwork, and hopefully we'll see you in a future class. Thank you guys so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Tina.
You.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.